Have you ever wondered why, as we get older, something as natural as sleep begins to feel unnatural? One day you sleep like a baby. The next you're lying awake staring at the ceiling, silently begging your mind to shut off. The nights get longer, the rest feels shorter, and you can't help but ask yourself, what happened to my sleep if you're over 70 or love someone who is? This video could change everything. Because what you might think is just part of aging could actually be slowly affecting your heart, your brain, your balance, and even how many years you have left. And here's the kicker: the way you or your loved ones sleep might not only be hurting the body, it might be quietly stealing your independence. But don't worry. Today we're going deep into this overlooked issue. We'll uncover the real reasons sleep changes in old age, the 5 hidden habits that might be silently sabotaging your rest, and a surprising sleep tip at the end of the video that could literally add years to your life. It's something you'll wish you'd known decades ago. So stick with me till the end because this isn't just about sleep, it's about quality of life. It's about protecting the people you love. It's about waking up each day feeling strong, clear minded, and full of energy, not foggy, fatigued, or frail. Before we dive in, if you find value in this video, please consider giving it a like. It helps more than you know. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that button and turn on the bell. We're building a community of smart, curious people who want to age well, and you're invited. Now, let me introduce you to someone whose story will help bring this message to life. Meet Harold Thompson. He's 75 years old, a retired mechanic, and a man built from grit grease and decades of hard, honest work. For over 40 years, Harold's hands were never clean. They were stained with oils, scratched by tools, and strengthened by purpose. There was something noble in the way he worked. He wasn't a man of many words, but he could coax life out of a dying engine with nothing more than a wrench patience and muscle memory. For Harold, a humming engine was more than just a machine. It was music. It meant something was working as it should. Even in retirement, his body still operates like a well-worn machine. He rises at 500 a.m. sharp, no alarm necessary. Old habits die hard, especially when they've been etched into your bones by decades of discipline. His sleep just 5 hours a night. No naps, no complaints. In his words, I've always been fine with little sleep. But then something happened that changed everything. It was one of those crisp, golden autumn mornings that feels like a gift from nature. The kind of morning where the air smells like fallen leaves, and the sun warms your shoulders just enough to make you forget it's getting colder. As always, Harold was in his garden. Rows of bright marigolds and plump tomatoes stretched before him, a tiny Eden he had nurtured for years. It was his happy place, a sanctuary. But that morning, as he stepped over a tangled hose, his foot caught, and in one terrible instant, he fell. There was a crack, not from the hose, but from his hip. The sound echoed through the garden like a warning siren. Pain followed fast, sharp, relentless, and unignorable. His daughter, Emily, who lives nearby, heard his cry and came running. Her heart stopped when she saw him on the ground, clutching his side, the color drained from his face. Moments later, an ambulance was on the way. In the emergency room, doctors rushed to stabilize Harold's fractured hip. The situation was urgent, but amid the chaos, one physician turned to Emily with an unexpected question. Has your father been sleeping well lately? Emily paused. She blinked. What does sleep have to do with this? She wondered. But as it turns out, it had everything to do with it. That question opened the door to something most families never think to ask. And yet it may hold the key to better health, longer life, and fewer late-night emergency calls. Harold, like many seniors, never thought twice about his short nights. 5 hours was plenty, he insisted, and that's how it had always been. But the science disagrees. In fact, it screams for attention. Decades of research reveal a silent but dangerous truth. Chronic sleep deprivation in seniors doesn't just cause grogginess. It slowly weakens the entire system. And the worst part? You don't always feel it happening. When you consistently sleep less than 7 hours a night in your 70s or beyond, the risks begin to stack up. Your balance gets worse. Your reaction time slows down. Your muscles weaken. Your focus and memory start to slip. And when all these things combine, falls like Harold's become not just possible, but likely. In fact, a 2018 study published in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society found that older adults who sleep fewer than 6 hours a night are 30% more likely to suffer a fall-related injury than those who get proper rest. Think about that for a moment. That tangled garden hose wasn't the real problem. It was just the final straw in a body quietly worn down by years of too little sleep. So, what exactly happens to our sleep as we age? Why is it that something once so easy now feels like a battle? The truth is sleep architecture. The structure of our sleep changes dramatically with age. We produce less melatonin, the hormone that helps us fall asleep and stay asleep. Our internal clocks shift, making us tired earlier in the evening, but also more likely to wake up before dawn. Deep sleep decreases, which makes us wake up more frequently through the night. Medical conditions like arthritis, bladder issues, or sleep apnea often become more common and more disruptive. So while Harold thought 5 hours was enough, what he didn't realize was that his body was quietly struggling with years of sleep debt. And that sleep debt doesn't just stay in the background, it shows up in real dangerous ways. You might be surprised to learn just how far reaching the effects of short sleep are. A 20 meta analysis published in Sleep Medicine Reviews highlighted some truly alarming findings: 40% increased risk of cardiovascular disease, 20% higher chance of developing memory problems, significant increase in depression and anxiety symptoms. And yes, a shorter lifespan. Sleep isn't just rest, it's repair. It's when your heart gets a break, your brain sorts and stores memories, your muscles recover, and your immune system gets stronger. Missing out on sleep isn't just about feeling tired, it's about robbing your body of what it needs to function and survive. After Harold's surgery, recovery was slow, painful, frustrating. For a man who had spent decades fixing engines, he now faced the humbling reality of relying on others to help him move, bathe, even get out of bed. And in those long, slow weeks, something shifted. For the first time, Harold began to reflect not just on the fall, but on the habits that led there. Emily shared the doctor's insights with him. At first, he scoffed. "I've always been fine on 5 hours." But then she showed him the studies, the data, the clear, undeniable link between sleep and falls, memory loss, heart issues. It was a moment of realization, and maybe, just maybe, it wasn't too late to make a change. In the next part of this video, we'll uncover the 5 hidden habits that might be quietly destroying your sleep without you even realizing it. And don't worry, we're not here to scare you. We're here to empower you. Because once you understand what's truly going on in your body and why sleep matters more than ever, you'll be able to take back control of your nights and your health. And at the end, I'll share that one powerful tip, the one thing you can start doing tonight that could dramatically improve your sleep, reduce your risk of serious health issues, and help you or someone you love wake up feeling like themselves again. So don't go anywhere. We're just getting started. As we saw with Harold, even just a few hours of missed sleep each night can quietly chip away at a person's balance, coordination, and overall strength until one day the consequences show up loud and clear. But did you know that getting too much sleep can also carry its own set of serious risks? While chronic sleep deprivation is a danger, consistently oversleeping regularly, getting more than 9 hours per night, has also been linked to troubling outcomes. Studies have shown that excessive sleep can raise your risk for conditions like diabetes, obesity, and even cognitive decline. Surprising, isn't it? You'd think more sleep is always better, but in truth, the key lies in balance. Not too little, not too much, just enough of the right kind. Unfortunately, finding that sweet spot becomes harder with age. For seniors like Harold, this balance can feel like an impossible puzzle. Why? Because the aging body starts to work against its own rest. Hormonal changes, lifestyle shifts, and medical conditions begin to stack the odds against restful sleep. And that brings us to one of the most widespread myths about aging, that older adults naturally need less sleep. This couldn't be further from the truth. The need for deep restorative sleep doesn't shrink with age, our ability to get it does. As we grow older, our bodies produce less melatonin, the hormone responsible for helping us fall asleep and stay asleep. Circadian rhythms. The internal clocks that govern when we feel alert or drowsy also shift. Seniors often feel sleepy earlier in the evening and then find themselves wide awake in the early morning hours, long before the sun is up. Add to that the discomfort of chronic pain conditions like arthritis, the side effects of certain medications, and lifestyle factors like spending more time indoors with limited exposure to natural daylight. And the result is a recipe for fragmented, poor quality sleep. In Harold's case, all these elements quietly built up over the years. His 5 hour nights may have seemed manageable, even normal, but in truth, his body was slowly losing the resilience and coordination that once kept him steady on his feet. His fall in the garden didn't just happen out of nowhere. It was the result of long-term sleep imbalance finally catching up with him. Now, if you're still watching this video and finding these insights helpful, take a second and comment the number 1 below. That lets me know you're still here with me and that this message is reaching the people who need it most. And thank you for spending this time to learn something that could change your life or the life of someone you care about. So then, what can we actually do about this silent epidemic of poor sleep in older adults? The first step is simple but powerful awareness. Start by tracking sleep for 1 week. Whether it's for yourself or someone you care for, keep a detailed sleep log. Write down when you go to bed how long it takes to fall asleep, how many times you wake up during the night, how long it takes to return to sleep, and just as importantly, how you feel in the morning. Do you wake up feeling refreshed? Or are you groggy, sluggish, or unusually forgetful? Do you feel energized by noon or drained before breakfast? These aren't just passing feelings. They're your body's way of signaling that it needs deeper, better quality sleep. If you're caring for a parent, a grandparent, or a loved one, encourage them to keep track or observe them closely. Emily, after her father's accident, began documenting Harold's sleep. She noticed something crucial. He was waking up multiple times a night to use the bathroom, sometimes 3 or 4 times. That kind of repeated interruption makes it nearly impossible to reach and maintain the deep stages of sleep the body truly needs. And here's the truth that often gets overlooked. Sleep isn't just about how many hours you spend in bed. It's about what happens to your brain and body during those hours. Sleep is a time of healing, memory building, and physical restoration. Without enough deep, uninterrupted rest, those vital processes get cut short. By identifying patterns and catching disruptions, early seniors and the people who care for them can take the first real steps toward rebuilding a healthier sleep cycle. Now let's shift to another story. One that highlights a very different but equally important dimension of sleep, not just how long we sleep, but how well. Meet Eleanor Carter. She's 78 years old, a retired school teacher with a heart as big as her smile. She's the kind of person who remembers every birthday, bakes apple pies with the same handwritten recipe her grandmother gave her, and never lets a visitor leave without a warm drink and a full heart. Her days are as steady as the ticking of a clock. Every evening, she heads to bed at 10:00 p.m. and rises at 600 a.m., a solid 8 hours like clockwork. On paper, Eleanor seems like a model of healthy sleep habits. But in recent months, something has changed. Her mornings now begin with a fog that takes hours to lift. Her once sharp memory feels duller around the edges. And she's noticed herself snapping at people for small things, something she never used to do. Her daughter Sarah reassures her gently, "It's just part of getting older, Mom." But Eleanor isn't convinced. Something deeper feels off. And she's right. Eleanor's struggle isn't about the quantity of her sleep. It's the quality that's slipping away. More specifically, she's not getting enough deep restorative sleep, what researchers call slow wave sleep. This stage of sleep is critical. It's during slow wave sleep that your brain organizes memories, processes emotions, and strengthens neural pathways. It's when your body repairs muscle tissue, boosts your immune system, and balances hormones. But here's the challenge. As we age, our ability to enter and sustain this deep sleep declines. A 2019 study published in Nature Communications found that time spent in slow-wave sleep can drop by as much as 40% after the age of 70. For Eleanor, those peaceful 8 hours in bed aren't as restful as they seem. She often wakes to ease joint pain tosses and turns through vivid dreams or lies awake, staring into the darkness, mind racing. And these repeated interruptions rob her of the deep sleep her body and brain desperately need. The result: mental fog, low energy, and a growing vulnerability to chronic illnesses like dementia, high blood pressure, and type 2 diabetes. Like many seniors, Eleanor assumed that spending 8 hours in bed meant she was getting good sleep. But here's the truth: not all sleep is created equal. Frequent waking restlessness and excessive daytime fatigue are major warning signs that deep restorative sleep is being compromised. And often the causes are easier to address than people realize. Something as simple as late-night screen time from phones, tablets, or TVs can suppress melatonin production and disrupt the body's ability to wind down. Inconsistent bedtimes confuse your internal clock, making it harder to fall into a deep sleep rhythm. Picking up from Eleanor's story, we saw how deep restorative sleep, not just total sleep hours, plays a vital role in protecting memory energy and mood. But even when seniors set aside enough time for rest, their sleep can still be fragmented by something surprisingly simple: their environment. You may not think much about it, but an unsuitable sleep setting, too warm, too noisy, or too bright, can significantly disrupt the body's ability to reach and maintain deep sleep. In fact, a 2021 study published in the journal Sleep revealed that background noise from something as familiar as a television left on overnight can reduce time spent in slow wave sleep by up to 20%. That's the most restorative stage of sleep gone simply because of a little noise in the background. So, what can be done? Fortunately, the solution doesn't require any complicated tools or expensive gadgets. Small intentional changes can make a big difference. First, developing a consistent bedtime routine is key. This signals the brain that it's time to wind down and prepare for rest. About an hour before bed, all screens should be turned off: phones, tablets, televisions. Blue light from these devices can confuse the brain into thinking it's still daytime, suppressing melatonin production and delaying sleep. Instead, dim the lights in the house. Let your surroundings mimic the natural shift from day to night. During this time, consider engaging in relaxing, calming activities: read a light novel, listen to gentle music practice, deep breathing, or try light stretching or meditation. These rituals act like a bridge, easing the transition from wakefulness to restfulness. Equally important is optimizing the physical space of the bedroom. Keep the temperature cool around 65 degrees is ideal for promoting uninterrupted sleep. Use blackout curtains to block streetlights or early morning sunlight. And if the environment is noisy, consider using a white noise machine or a small fan to drown out sudden disruptive sounds. For Eleanor, these seemingly small changes created a massive shift. She replaced her habit of falling asleep with the TV on with a short guided meditation. She added a fan to her bedroom to keep it cool and provide steady background sound. Within just a few weeks, she noticed a real difference. She woke up feeling more refreshed, her thoughts clearer, and her mood noticeably lighter. The fog of fatigue that had shadowed her mornings began to lift. And that's the heart of it. Quality sleep isn't about chasing more hours. It's about making the hours you do have count. It's about creating an environment and routine that supports true restoration. The stories of both Harold and Eleanor reveal a truth we often overlook. Sleep isn't just a passive activity. It's an essential pillar of health, especially as we age. Poor sleep isn't just an inconvenience. It's a slow, silent thief of energy, clarity, strength, and resilience. But when seniors and those who care for them take steps to improve both the quantity and quality of sleep, everything can change. It starts with awareness. It continues with small, consistent choices. Whether that's tracking sleep patterns to uncover hidden problems or creating an evening routine that actually supports rest, the path to better health truly begins with prioritizing sleep. For Harold, it took a fall to realize what his body had been missing. For Eleanor, it was the quiet persistence of morning exhaustion. But for all of us, their stories offer the same message: sleep well, live well. Now let's talk about another overlooked aspect of senior sleep napping. Meet George Larson. He's 82 years old, a retired postman whose life was defined by routine, resilience, and relentless dedication. For more than 3 decades, George walked miles every day, delivering mail through blazing summers, some snowy winters, and everything in between. But now in retirement, things are different. His steps have slowed, his stride is more cautious, and his days are marked by a new pattern: frequent long naps. Every day, George naps 3 times once, in the late morning, often slumped in his old leather recliner, again after lunch, sprawled out on the couch, and sometimes a third time before dinner, nodding off as the sun begins to set. "I just don't sleep well at night," he tells his daughter, Lisa. "So I make up for it during the day." It sounds reasonable, doesn't it? Rest is rest. Or is it? Lisa began to notice something troubling. Her father was becoming forgetful, missing appointments, misplacing his glasses and keys, struggling to recall the names of neighbors he'd known for decades. At first, she brushed it off as normal aging. But when she brought it up during a routine doctor's visit, the physician offered a different explanation: George's constant daytime napping could be doing more harm than good. According to a 2020 study published in Alzheimer's and Dementia, Older adults who nap excessively, defined as more than an hour per day, face a 50% higher risk of developing cognitive decline over time. That includes issues like memory loss, poor concentration, and slowed mental processing. Why does this happen? Because long or late naps can interfere with the body's natural circadian rhythm, the internal clock that tells us when to be awake and when to sleep. For George, these extended naps were breaking up his sleep wake cycle, making it even harder to get solid, deep rest at night. This led to a vicious cycle: poor sleep at night, more fatigue during the day, more naps, even worse, nighttime sleep. Worse still, those naps were robbing him of the most important stages of sleep: slow wave sleep and REM sleep, when the brain repairs, recharges, and files away memories. As a result, George wasn't just tired. He was slowly slipping into a fog of forgetfulness that scared his family. Now, don't get me wrong, naps aren't the enemy. In fact, short naps done right can be incredibly helpful. A 20 to 30-minute nap, ideally between 100 and 300 p.m., can boost alertness, enhance mood, and improve memory without interfering with nighttime sleep. These power naps line up perfectly with the body's natural post-lunch dip in energy. Crucially, they allow just enough rest to feel refreshed without diving into the deeper stages of sleep that make you groggy or reduce your sleep drive for the night ahead. The key to healthy napping is timing and duration. Napping after 3 p.m. or sleeping more than 90 minutes during the day can sabotage your body's ability to sleep at night, throwing your internal clock into disarray. George, unfortunately, had fallen into a trap that many older adults do, mistaking frequent long naps for necessary rest, when in reality they were disrupting his sleep architecture and contributing to his cognitive decline. If you're still watching this video and these stories are resonating with you, please take a moment and comment the number 1 below. It lets me know you're still here with me and that this message is landing where it's needed most. But George's story doesn't end there. His doctor suspected there was more at play than just excessive napping. You see, up to 30% of older adults suffer from a condition called sleep apnea, a sleep disorder, where breathing stops and starts repeatedly throughout the night. It's often marked by loud snoring, gasping, or periods of silence, followed by sudden snorts. These disruptions keep the brain from reaching deep sleep, leading to chronic exhaustion during the day, and yes, more napping. After a sleep study, George was diagnosed with mild obstructive sleep apnea. His doctor prescribed a CPAP machine, a device that gently delivers air through a mask to keep his airways open throughout the night. While George's story showed how addressing sleep apnea and managing naps can restore restful nights, our next journey dives into a very different kind of sleep struggle, one shaped not by breathing or habits, but by the body's own internal clock. Meet Mary Sullivan, an 81-year-old retired librarian whose days once followed the steady rhythm of routine. For decades, her evenings were beautifully predictable. Dinner at 6 p.m. sharp, a crossword puzzle to tease the mind, sometimes an episode of her favorite mystery show. Then, like clockwork, she'd head to bed by 10 p.m. and rise at 6 a.m., ready to greet the day with calm energy. But over the past year, something began to shift, quietly at first. She found herself yawning much earlier in the evening, around 6:30. By 8 p.m., she was already drifting off. And before the birds had even begun to stir at 4 a.m., Mary was wide awake. The house was dark, the world outside still asleep. And yet there she lay, alert but exhausted. Even though she was technically getting 8 hours of sleep, Mary felt perpetually drained. Her days became sluggish. She grew irritable, more forgetful, and increasingly frustrated. What was happening to the once reliable rhythm of her body? This wasn't just a harmless change in sleep preference. It was a condition known as advanced sleep phase syndrome, a circadian rhythm disorder that commonly affects older adults. In simple terms, it's when the body's natural sleep-wake cycle shifts earlier than normal, causing people to fall asleep and wake up several hours ahead of the typical schedule. The human body runs on a 24-hour internal clock known as the circadian rhythm. It's guided by external cues like sunlight and internal signals, such as the release of melatonin, the hormone, that signals to the brain when it's time to sleep. But as we age, the system doesn't stay as precise. Melatonin production tends to decrease, weakening the brain's signal for sleep. And with many older adults spending more time indoors, they get far less natural light exposure, further throwing the rhythm off balance. A 2022 study published in Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience revealed that up to 40% of adults over 70 experience some form of circadian misalignment. The result, earlier bedtimes, earlier wake-ups, and a frustrating sense of daytime fatigue, even if sleep quantity appears sufficient. In Mary's case, this misalignment meant her body's clock no longer matched her lifestyle. Even worse, waking up at 4 a.m. left her lying awake for hours in total darkness, a setting that can worsen anxiety, impact mood, and leave a lingering emotional toll throughout the day. So, what's the fix? How do you reset a clock that's ticking too early? The answer lies in strategic intervention, and the most powerful tool is light. Morning sunlight, especially light rich in blue wavelengths, is crucial. It tells the brain, it's time to be awake now, helping to re anchor the body's internal clock. Experts recommend spending 15 to 30 minutes outside each morning, ideally within 2 hours of waking. Importantly, this light should be absorbed directly through the eyes, so no sunglasses. This small act can delay evening drowsiness and improve alertness during the day. On the flip side, avoiding bright light in the evening, especially the blue light emitted by screens like TVs, smartphones, and tablets, is equally essential. Blue light suppresses melatonin production, making it harder to fall asleep at a healthy hour. Mary's doctor prescribed a simple two-part routine. First, she started taking short morning walks in her neighborhood park to soak in the sunlight. Second, she adopted a screen-free evening routine. Instead of watching TV after dinner, she switched to reading a novel under a soft, warm-toned lamp. She also began dimming her house lights after 7 p.m. to simulate the natural dimming of daylight. The results. Within just a few weeks, Mary's bedtime shifted closer to 9:30 p.m., and her wake-up time nudged forward to around 5:30 a.m. Her sleep schedule better aligned with her daily activities, and more importantly, her energy levels rebounded. That foggy, tired feeling that once clouded her mornings began to lift. Now, some may wonder, why not just take melatonin supplements? While melatonin can be helpful, it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. Its effectiveness depends heavily on timing and dosage, typically 0.5 to 3 milligrams taken 1 to 2 hours before bedtime. Taking it too late or in high doses can actually worsen sleep issues or cause next-day grogginess. That's why consulting with a doctor or sleep specialist is so important. In Mary's case, she didn't rely on pills or quick fixes. Her success came from gentle, natural adjustments syncing her body with the rhythm of light and day. A reminder that sometimes the best solutions aren't found in a bottle, but in simple, intentional changes that respect how our bodies were designed to rest. Now that we've seen how each character faced their own unique sleep struggle, let's take a closer look at one of the most common and often overlooked culprits behind poor sleep and seniors' medications. A respected gerontologist once revealed a surprising truth: over 60% of older adults are currently taking at least one medication that may interfere with their ability to sleep soundly. That's more than half of all seniors potentially battling a hidden sleep disruptor every night without even knowing it. Let's start with a common one: beta blockers. These medications are frequently prescribed for heart-related issues. But here's the catch: they can suppress your body's production of melatonin, the hormone that helps regulate your sleep-wake cycle. Without enough melatonin, falling asleep or staying asleep becomes a nightly battle. Then we have diuretics, often used to treat high blood pressure or heart failure. They come with a particularly inconvenient side effect: they increase nighttime urination. The result: frequent trips to the bathroom in the middle of the night, a condition known as nocturia. For many seniors, this constant waking completely disrupts any chance of deep, restful sleep. And that's not all. Certain antidepressants, pain medications, and even over-the-counter allergy pills that contain antihistamines can mess with REM sleep, that critical stage where your brain processes emotions and locks in memories. When REM sleep is disturbed, you don't just wake up groggy, you may also feel mentally foggy or emotionally fragile. And here's where things get even more complicated. When a person is taking multiple medications at once, a condition known as polypharmacy, these effects don't just add up, they multiply. Suddenly, sleep disruption becomes a perfect storm. That was the case for Betty. Between her beta blockers, which were reducing melatonin, and her diuretics, which triggered nocturia, her nights were fragmented. She was waking up multiple times, never feeling truly rested. Each morning, she felt emotionally drained, dizzy, and out of balance. But the solution wasn't as simple as stopping her medications. After all, they were important for her health. Instead, it came down to smart adjustments, timing, and alternatives. Betty's doctor reviewed her medication schedule and made a few key changes. He moved her beta blocker to the morning, which helped limit its impact on nighttime melatonin levels. Then, he rescheduled her diuretic to an earlier time in the day, giving her body a chance to process it before bedtime rolled around. Within just a few days, the changes were dramatic. Betty's nighttime awakenings dropped from 3 or 4 times per night to just once. Her morning dizziness faded. The anxiety she used to feel first thing in the morning, gone. A small shift in routine created a massive shift in quality of life. So if you or a loved one is experiencing poor sleep and you're taking medications, it's time to ask the right questions. Start with your doctor or pharmacist and bring up these 3 key points. Could my medications be affecting my sleep? Is there a better time of day to take them? Are there alternatives with fewer sleep-related side effects? Sometimes a simple switch, like choosing a newer type of beta blocker that doesn't interfere as much with melatonin, or switching to a blood pressure medication that isn't a diuretic, can make a world of difference. And pharmacists can play a crucial role here too. They can spot potential interactions between drugs that your doctor might not have time to catch. Ultimately, this part of Betty's story reinforces a bigger truth we've seen across all of today's stories, from Harold to Eleanor George to Mary. Poor sleep isn't just a normal part of aging. In many cases, it's a symptom, your body waving a flag and asking you to investigate. Whether it's chronic exhaustion, middle of the night waking, excessive daytime napping, or even anxiety in the morning, these are signs you can't afford to ignore. Each case carries serious implications for a senior's health, safety, and well-being, but each one also offers a powerful opportunity for change. Because sleep isn't just about rest. It's the engine that powers everything else, your strength, your focus, your joy. So here's your action step for today. If you're over 60 or caring for someone who is, take 5 minutes to review your current medications. Are you waking up more than once a night, feeling groggy or anxious in the morning? Don't ignore it. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist and ask the right questions. Sleep isn't a luxury. It's your foundation for a better life. And sometimes just one simple change can bring it all back into balance. Leave a comment below and let us know what's one small change you'll try this week to reclaim better sleep. We read every comment, and your story might inspire someone else. And if you found this helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more science-backed tips to help you or your loved ones age with strength, clarity, and joy.